I'm going to stick with you for a second, Marty, because a question came in here for people in tech ops, and I know tech ops is in your title. And it says, for the panelists working in a technical operations group, but have external manufacturing and supplier relationship management groups, who should have the final decision on the selection of the partner? Or while it is a joint discussion throughout, who makes that final decision within the organization?
In my experience, it's a team effort, but yes, somebody has to make the final selection. And I argue to have that be done by the tech ops function. That's going to be the point of contact. They are the responsible party who will be managing that external service provider. So you certainly have important input from quality, from management, from the financial assessment, and it is incumbent on that technical operations function to incorporate all of that input from those very important key stakeholders. But again, my position is I think that the technical lead, they're the ones who will be managing that relationship. So it's important that they are comfortable, and I would recommend to give to them that responsibility to make that final determination.
Very good. Very good. Any other speakers want to comment on any of that, or want me to move on?
I think, Louis, maybe just to add that decision, that when it's made, bears weight to all of the supporting organizations. So I actually agree with Marty, right? The person or the group that's fundamentally accountable for that delivery performance is going to be a cross-functional team of probably supplier relationships, supply chain, manufacturing, quality. And at the end of the day, no matter which CDMO you select, there's an outcome of that, right? So the team might say, well, this CDMO is the cheapest. And then you've got your quality team saying, yeah, but their quality is not great. So maybe I have to put in a PIP. And when you consider the cost of a PIP, now let's recalculate the cost as a team. Or maybe their delivery is not great, but their cost is good. Or their quality is high, but their delivery is poor. Well, what's the cost of an extra 10 days in your cycle time, or the impact of that? I think in really taking that and doing a really good, I hate to call it a risk assessment, but that's really what you're doing. You're analyzing what are all these factors and how do they impact the final decision. And I've seen a lot of companies just kind of go in with a scorecard and say, these are the points and this is the highest score and therefore they win, without really then saying, okay, but if they win, then what? What comes next? What are the other actions that have to be taken? And that's just one caution as you go into that selection process.
I mean, I see some, if I could, Louis, I see some questions coming up in the chat box from attendees. And, you can go through this process of an RFI and RFP, and you can go through the scoring. And frankly, I don't think I've ever picked the highest or lowest score. There's always the nuances, and things can look really good until you get in the weeds. And I think then it becomes to setting expectations. And for example, in terms of our autologous cell therapies, turnaround time is critical, right? Patients are sitting they're out of standard of care for these early investigational, and so they're maybe on bridging therapy and things. So you need to turn around these times, turn around your cell drug product in a very measurable time. And setting an expectation of the batch record reviews and the quality reviews and that rigor is not a small task. And I think this is where project management and timelines are critical, and knowing what that expectation is, because some CMOs may tell you they just can't do that turnaround time on regular. And then how do you keep each other honest, right? And I think this comes into your contracting and milestones. If you tell me that you're going to be able to get through confirmatory runs and engineering runs and all these other things in a certain time period, I don't manage the CMO's suite time and their resources. They do. But if we can agree on certain things, we have to have a lockdown process to them by this time. Then we go into engineering, and then you build milestones. Unfortunately, it comes down to finances, right? Because that's they make money, we spend money, and then we tie those milestones and we keep each other honest to some extent, and get those the deliverables that we've agreed up front. Because you can promise a lot, and once you're in and you're contracted and you're you really have very few options but to stay the course or reset the entire process, which puts you back in timeline and finances.